like-minded. I was drawn to your energy. That was the first thing. But then when I looked into it, I realized that that my message wasn't as refined and didn't speak as powerfully, because whenever I saw any of your posts or when I looked at your website, I was in awe of the power of the words and the story that drew me in. And I just knew instantly. I thought, I need to have this. This is what I was ready for in my business. Having said that, I really wish I'd known about that at the beginning. You know, to have gotten a story, or gotten more connection to a story in my message, I think would have made me easier and quicker stand out from the rest. You know, before, not in the early stages of my business, but before now, really.
Yeah. And something really interesting, I think, to bring up, because I'm Canadian and you're British, and culturally, I won't speak for Britain, but at least in Canada, like we're very reserved and we're not as like flashy about talking about money results or just like our personal lives. And I think there's a little bit of that in like the UK, like European culture. So,
Definitely. I mean, I mean, you know, and definitely as in culture, but definitely with women. What
yeah.
I see, I only work with women, but what I see is they're super talented, get incredible results, and then don't actually tell anybody. And it's like it's almost seen in definitely in the UK as if you're being a bit showy off, a bit showy and a bit out there. And you know, then we've all got that tied in with what people will think, and oh, we've got so many beliefs going on behind
Yeah.
of our energy and stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's why like this work is so important, because it's not just like crafting the perfect message and putting it out there. It's like you really have to be in alignment with what you're putting out there. And so I wanted to touch on this too because I think everyone has their own like visibility journey, but there were moments where you hit some resistance, and I'm curious if any of that was coming up for you, like because you kind of you go through like you're learning and then you're implementing, but you're kind of like, oh,
Oh,
am I ready to do
it
this?
was painful. It was painful for me because I almost felt like, and I'm sure I must have said this on our journey when we were working together, I almost felt like the rubbish student. It was like I was hearing what you were telling me, and I was see the value of it, but that leap of faith, and I'm not an unconfident person,
Yeah.
but there was definitely that not good enough, or not saying it right, or not doing it right. And I know for quite a way into our time working together, it's almost like the penny dropped. And I think a lot of it was giving myself permission to allow myself to be me and
Yeah.
speak my truth. And like I said, everything's in the voice,
Yeah.
speaking the truth of who I am, what I believe in, how I connect with people. And the minute, I think it was one of those sessions when you just said, don't overthink it, just have fun. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh,
Uh,
it was like I was given permission, because I definitely in the early stages thought there was a right and a wrong. And
yeah.
it was a learning curve. It was learning a new skill that, um, you know, learning the bits of the story and the bits that make sense to the people I work with, having that confidence in that. But, and definitely, now there isn't a day goes by when I think, oh my goodness, I feel liberated at freely showing up on social media anywhere at any time, sharing whatever feels right for
Yeah.
me. Definitely.
Yeah, and that's something that came up, and I noticed this with other clients too, because some of the stuff I teach is like a framework for writing, and it's not to fit you into a box, but most people get stuck on the content of what they want to write because they don't know how to structure it. So it's like one of those things where you learn the structure, you don't have to necessarily follow it, but then you have that freedom once you've mastered it. And I've seen, I know I told you this privately recently, but I watch your content now and I'm like, this is so good. I'm like, I wish I could write this good.
I feel excited now. So before I'd set time aside and I'd sit down and I'd go and write a post. And it was just like I was paralyzed with the thought process, with overthinking everything, with not feeling into it. And now I I I collect stories.
Yeah.
that can go into posts, that makes sense, that will resonate with other clients. You know, so I have a whole page of, you know, when I'm coaching with clients, I almost have to say, hang on a minute, can you just hold that thought while I write down some inspiration that's come through me that I
Yeah.
know would go into a post or a story.
Yeah, I remember one of those sessions actually we talked about looking at every client you worked with and what were the top transformations because so much of our message is being able to clearly communicate how we help people. And this is like, and myself included, like get so stuck on this. And then you also bring in that whole not wanting to brag, not wanting to take credit for our clients' results, right? Because it's ultimately them who's done the work. But yeah, so super quick, like what was the experience like between um, the sessions? There was some pre-recorded trainings in the Voxer. Like what was like
I
give us
mean,
a
it was just a fabulous journey. So, I mean, you know, I felt your energy even when we weren't on the sessions. So, and I was really bad at reaching out, as you know, at the Voxer support. I only learned to speak on that in the last few weeks. But when I did, you were there. It was a real, I went in with excitement. Then I went through the phase of being a little bit nervous and can I do this? It
yeah.
wasn't about the program. Everything that you could ever want in the program and the guidance from you was there, but it was that, am I good enough? Can I do this?
Yeah.
And then once, it's literally like a roller coaster, isn't it? And you're going up and up and up. And when you get to the top and then suddenly you just get it, it's like, wow, it just flows freely. And I'm literally early next week about to launch my website, and it's the most excited I've ever been about a website because the lady who's helping me do the website, she read the copy and she said, oh my goodness, it's like you were speaking about me. And
Wow.
that's when I knew. That's when I knew. And even though I'd got the basis of it there, when I go back in now, more is coming through me in that way that stands out, not the cliche phrases, not the cliche words,
Yeah.
the real connection piece, I think.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, and it's really fitting for the title of this because I called it Unlocking Your True Message, and I think there's always this kind of inner level of resistance we have to get through, and then I don't talk too much about the chakras, but you might know more about this, but when you unblock your throat chakra, like you just let that creativity and your imagination and everything flow. So that's
And
amazing.
I think, and I actually channeled like a system. You know, when we were working together, this thing came through me about energy archetypes that was
Yeah.
like hovering there. And I remember on one of the sessions, it just be coming through so clear and easy, just
Yeah.
easy. Yeah, a real
Yeah.
pleasure. I mean, anybody that's hovering on the edge, not knowing what difference it'll make all the difference. And it makes everything else easier, not just from posting, from showing up, from emails, from creating a website, you know, doing a website yourself, but with that story that is you and what makes you who you are. What I found was that the way you worked really wrought out that inner story and that intuition within me. I'd have real epiphany moments during our sessions and thinking, oh my goodness, as if from nowhere, which was so powerful, so powerful.
Wow. Yeah. And you touched on a good point as well, is that signature methodology. That's like another thing. This is the academic in me, but I love, I think it's so important that we're clear on the process we bring people through. And Michelle, you might even see this with your own clients, just to touch back on like a client's journey is like you do start with excitement, you do hit resistance, and then you do break through. And if you weren't stuck, then you wouldn't hire the person in the first place. So when you go into it knowing you're going to come up to your biggest fears, well, that's why you hired the person, because they're going to help you walk through it. So
Definitely,
um
definitely. And I always think and know what's the other side of the fear and resistance is something greater than you could possibly have imagined. And
yeah.
that's definitely where I feel. And I know that when we're out of lockdown, that I'll be coming wherever you are to do the brand video
Yeah.
because, you know, to tie up the story with a video would be so powerful.